Hi, today is Monday, March 20th, 2017. It's the first day of the fourth week of Lent, so Easter is getting closer, which I am happy for. And this is A Swede Speaks. And we have to talk a little about France. France in general, and especially the French presidential election that's coming up. Maybe a few words about France in general first. You could say that France is about 10 years in front of Sweden, because France has lots of problems. They have internal problems like riots, and they have external threats like terror. I think some of the terrorists that have been lately have been living in France, some have been people seeking asylum and so on, but France has been heavily under attack. And in France, they are no longer talking about no-go zones. They are talking about lost territories. These territories are the places that was built after World War II, when people were moving in from the countryside to the cities to find work, because the economy was changing in France. The same thing happened in Sweden and in Finland and in the UK, and I guess in the entire Western world. So there were few jobs left in the countryside. So you could say that the working class left the countryside and moved into the cities to find jobs in factories and so on. And these neighborhoods were built rapid fast. These are, I think, in the entire West, these places, pretty ugly buildings, big boxes, lots of apartments. They could house lots of people. And the whole areas are really depressing. What happened in France was the working class moved in, but as soon as they managed to put some money aside, they moved out. They bought small houses and so on. They moved to better neighborhoods. The ones who got stuck in these places were people who wasn't even working or working very little. So it was the welfare clients, and then also you had, for instance, in France, you had immigration from the old colonies, from Algeria, for instance, and this has been going on for generations now. You have generations of people of, for instance, Algerian or Moroccan ancestry living in France, and they are still living sort of in a parallel society. They are French citizens. They may even speak French as their first language by now, but they don't really feel French. And this is a problem. And the first time I remember it being on the headline was the riots that in France in 2005. It was somewhere outside Paris, I believe. And a few years later, it spread to Sweden. But today, in this video, my focus is France. I'm just mentioning that this happened in France first, and eventually it came to Sweden. So you can see the development, or the downfall, sort of. And if we take a look at the election, there are 3 candidates with even a chance of winning. And these 3 candidates are, in alphabetical order by their surnames, François Fillon, who belongs to the Republican Party. That means, the right-wing party. And he is supposedly a Thatcherite, which should be a good thing. And you have Marine Le Pen, who belongs to Front National, and you have Emmanuel Macron, who started off his own party. He is a globalist, really. And of these 3 candidates, okay, we could take a short look at what they are saying. I'm not going into detail here, because the interesting thing here is actually what do I think is going to happen. But okay, Fillon has said that France needs immigration quotas. I agree with him on that. Macron says that mass migration is unstoppable and we have to get used to it. It almost, but only almost, sounds like that mayor of London, Mr. Khan, I think, who said that terror is like you have to get used to that if you want to live in a big city. But anyway, And of course, Le Pen, her campaign, as far as I understand it, focuses on free speech, on opposition to Islamization, and to France becoming an independent country again, leaving the European Union. And Le Pen has said that if she becomes president, she will arrange a referendum on the French membership in the European Union, on whether to stay or leave. A Frexit referendum, so to speak. And of course, I hope for a Frexit, but okay, let's take this first. Or, okay, I've said it. I hope for a Frexit. And what I think is going to happen, I think that in the first election, Le Pen will likely become the biggest candidate. I don't read French, so everything I read about France is in English or maybe in Swedish or Norwegian or Danish or, well, but not in French, sadly. I cannot read French, so I might miss something here. But my guess is that she will be the biggest candidate in the first election, but she will not have her own majority. And that means that in the second, in the runoff election on May 17th, it will be Le Pen versus either Fillon or Macron. As the numbers looked when I looked at them earlier today, there were several polls, but the numbers looked something like this. Le Pen and Macron has about 25% each in the polls, and Fillon lies somewhere around 15, 16, 17%. So you might expect it to be Le Pen Macron, which would be really unpleasant actually. So I sort of hope that if Le Pen does not get her own majority, I hope that there will be a Le Pen Fillon election, that it will stand between these two. I hope so, but I wouldn't bet on it. I think if I wouldn't have any consciousness, I would bet for Macron, but I would be rooting for Le Pen anyway, so I can't, because I would just feel, what do I say? I would feel filthy if I would bet on Macron and he actually win. That would be like taking blood money. Because I'm gonna let you in on a secret, or well, it's not really a secret, but on something I did. Last summer, and I had been thinking about this for months, and I should have done it a lot earlier, but last summer, I bet a small amount that Trump would win the US presidential election. And, as you know, I won. Although when I bet on it, the odds were 2.3 to 1. If I had bet on it when he launched his candidacy, it would have been 50 to 1. So that small amount I bet it would have been a big win, but now I got a small win. But still, it was nice. But I wouldn't dare to bet on Le Pen because I think she's gonna lose. I wouldn't want to bet Macron because I don't want him to win. And there is also one other thing that could be said. Wouldn't it be nice if a female would break through the glass ceiling? Don't you think so? And also, okay, let's take this. Le Pen, her dad, Jean Le Pen, he may have been a Nazi. He said some things that could be interpreted that way. And that wasn't nice. And he is kicked out from his own party, by the way. But as far as I know, Marine Le Pen had said none of that kind. And as far as I understand, she is not a Nazi. She hasn't said anything that I am able to interpret like she would have anything against someone because of the person's skin color or ethnicity or something like that. What worries her is Islam. What worries her is the European Union. And I share her worry. So, wouldn't it be nice with a female president in France? Someone who breaks through the glass ceiling? What do you think, feminists? Don't you want a Madame la Présidente instead for a Monsieur? Don't you think that would be nice? And okay, I am gonna have to say this now. I am being sarcastic. I like Le Pen because I think she is right on the most important issues, not because of her gender. And also, Le Pen is said to be left-wing on economic issues. And as far as I understand, That's true, she is. I would most likely disagree with most, maybe not all, but most of her economic policies. And my reasoning on this is the following. Who is right on the most important issues? Which means I have to define which are the most important issues now, right now, and for the years to come, for the next few years. And the most important issues is obviously stopping the Islamization of Europe and getting rid of the Brussels bureaucracy of the European Union. And she is right on those two issues. And hey, with Macron, you'd get left-wing economic policies anyway. So if you're going to have left-wing economic policies, you better take Le Pen. Then at least you get sane policies on the other things. So, my opinion is this. Vive la Le Pen, is that how you say it? I think so. I hope she wins. I think she does not win. I'm sad about this. Maybe she will win the next time. I don't know how much time France or Europe has, actually. It's the same as in the Netherlands. I think that Wilders might be prime minister in a few years, or maybe in a few more years. But I don't know how much time do we have. I mean, the time for Europe is really now. Europe is at a turning point, at this decisive moment, as I said a few weeks ago, I think. So, please, dear French people, if you're watching, and if you're understanding my English, please vote for Le Pen, because I really, really, really don't want Macron in Paris. And, yeah, I'm not living in France, so I, in theory, should not care. But what happens in France will affect what happens in Sweden and in Norway too. So I am hoping for a female president named Marine Le Pen, not because she's a woman, but because I think she's the best candidate. Have a good election, dear French people. And that's what I have to say about this right now. I might have to return to the subject again before the election or in between the elections. We'll see. Anyway, I would like to thank the people who are supporting this channel through prayers and through PayPal and through Patreon. And I would like to mention that earlier today I got a donation of about $12. It was in Norwegian money, so I'm just transferring it, or I mean translating the number. And I would like to say that $12 helps a lot. It does not sound like much, I know, but it helps a lot. And a lot of small donations is in one way better than a few big ones. And Patreon is a very good thing, because even $1 or $2 a month could generate a stable income flow with enough patrons. So I encourage you to look into that. And now you've already gotten my encouragement, so I won't say that again. I will give you the necessary links in the information box below. And if you don't know this already, if you forgot, this is A Swede Speaks. And please share my videos. Please subscribe, please comment, and have a nice day.